By now, your fantasy team is either crushing the competition or begging for mercy. Either way, you could always use a little boost from a great waiver wire ad. So lock on in for today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Sports Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source for fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, here with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, my better half, Matthew Arnay.
How you doing?
You can find us on all social media platforms and podcasting apps. Just search for Locked On Fantasy Baseball and we'll be there. And if you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, it goes a long, long way to help the podcast, and we truly, truly appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube, though, and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It subscribes you to the channel, gives you a notification every time we drop a new episode. And also, once again, if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and comment because we love to talk fantasy baseball with you. So on today's episode, Matt and I are talking about some of the must-add waiver wire players from, the start here of Week 5. And boy, oh boy, do we have some good ones for you. So, if you're an everydayer or a new listener, make sure you lock on in for the whole episode and you don't miss a name. Real quick, before we dive on in, just wanted to throw out there, I had to throw on the Bryce Harper jersey again because he officially got cleared for some baseball action. He's officially the quickest player ever to return from Tommy John surgery. So we're in unprecedented territory, but if you have him on your team, make sure you get him active for tomorrow. But Matt, who do we have up as the first one of the best waiver wire ads for, Week 5?
Yep, and it's a name everybody knows, and it's Mr. Baty. Or Baty, however you want to say it today. Baty. Oh, baby. Yeah. So we all thought, maybe he'll break camp. Maybe he'll do this. It took him a little time to get called up. He had a little rough start in the minors, but then finally figured out, which led to his ultimate call-up, which is nice. Started off a little slow, but then has now really turned a corner, has figured it out. So this last week, he hit 5 for 9, which is really nice, batting .556. Got a home run, a run, and a rib. That's really just about it in 9 at-bats last week. But it seems like he's starting to really turn a corner. Today, he also hit a home run, so making 2 runs in the last week now. With 3 runs, 2 home runs, a rib, and batting .330. Batted .333 today, so how you doing? I really think that Brett Baty, Shibboleba Ding Dong, is going to just be a stud moving forward. I think we're going to see a lot of last year, that little breakout. And I really do think that he is a great ad this week at 44%. People are starting to catch on and starting to see that he has figured it out. So, you don't want to be in the other end of that where you'd missed out on him and now you're playing him next week and he's going to smoke you. So definitely go and add Mr. Baty and you won't regret it.
Yeah, man, I'm right on board there with you with Brett Baty. Monster spring training. Not sure why he didn't break camp. Who's Eduardo Escobar. Forget about him. And even Brett Baty's 9 games in the minors, 35 at-bats, 9 runs, 2 doubles, 5 home runs, 15 RBIs, 2 steals. And that I love that walk to strikeout ratio, 7 walks to 9 strikeouts, batted .400. Once again, that's Brett Baty's 9 games in the minors before the call this year. Matt read you off his numbers so far this year. They're fantastic. You got must add. Probably the best waiver wire bat we're going to talk about today is Brett Baty. Go get him on your team at third base position. Kind of tough to fill. And kid's got all the upside in the world, a lot of power in that bat, great Mets lineup. And he's been hitting, it looks like 7th so far. But I think if he keeps it up, he could even sneak his way a little bit higher in that lineup. Has a lot of great guys to drive in ahead of him. Good RBI upside, good power upside. Love Baty. Let's talk about one of our former Yankees, and that's Mr. Joey Gallo. And you know what? He's still trekking along. He's slowed down a tiny little bit here. But you know what? The numbers on the year still look pretty solid with 12 runs, 7 home runs, 14 RBIs. The .236 batting average is kind of expected here with Gallo. But you know what? He's out of the bright lights of New York and Los Angeles. He's just with those, Minnesota Twins where, it's not all on him. He's not putting it all on himself, because that's what the rumor was when he was with the Yankees and the Dodgers, that Gallo said he felt a lot of pressure to perform. And now just in Minnesota, not too much pressure on him to perform. Guys got 35, 40 home run upside. The runs and RBI should be decent with, that supporting cast around him. That's pretty good. Hey, and there's a couple guys down in the minors that we'll sure we'll talk about at some point that could come up and help that Minnesota Twins team. Gallo is 50% owned, first in outfield eligible on Yahoo. I'd say get him on your rosters as soon as you can.
Yep. Gallo is somebody we talked about in the past. He's also benefiting from the no shift. So, his average is up. It's higher than we're used to seeing, which is nice. He's going to have his ups and downs. He is a streaky player, but, he's definitely worth an ad because that power is just unlimited. But let's move on here. Let's talk about Mr. Eddie Rosario, a name we haven't really heard in a little bit, at least on this podcast. He's about 4% owned, which is really nice. And last week, he had a really good week. He had 5 runs, 2 bombs, 4 ribs, batting .412. Now, I'm not saying he's a barn burner. He's going to be this long-term play, but you know what? He's at least worth an ad, at least worth a wait and see what he can do. Rosario used to be good back in the day, so I don't see why he couldn't do it on the stacked Atlanta Braves team. This is kind of like more of like a ride the wave, see how long it takes you, and if he really starts heating up, you got lucky, or you dump him off and you sell him for something a little bit more reliable that has a little bit more longevity. But Eddie Rosario at 4% owned is an absolute steal. Hop on before the kettle gets too hot and you miss out.
Yeah, I think Eddie's a bargain right now. Like you said, 4% owned. If you're in the 5-man outfielder league, an NL only, one of those deeper leagues, he's definitely a great ad. He might be sitting out there on your waiver wire. And as Matt mentioned, he had a bunch of, 25 home run plus seasons, but we're talking back from 2017 to 2019. But some of those years were very, very good, and he's a career 270 hitter, which, says that he can get that batting average back up there a little bit. He's been hitting 5th in that Braves lineup, which is very, very good. A lot of, counting stat opportunity there. He's probably, not going to steal you too many bases anymore, in his old age at age 31 for Eddie Rosario. But there's the upside there. May not be, the sexiest name we talk about today, but you know what? Eddie Rosario does have some upside. Let's move on real quick. I'll give my take on this next guy here, then I'll pass it off to my brother. And it's Nick Senzel. Damn, man, haven't heard the name Nick Senzel in a long, long time. The guy's dealt with a lot of injuries, a lot of different things going on with him in his career, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, but it looks like he's starting to figure things out. And actually, I'm curious myself because I forget he's been around a while. How old is Nick Senzel these days? Let's check in on that for you guys. He's 27 now. Yeah, he's getting that's what I was saying in my head. He's getting up there a little bit. But, he had some prospect buzz as he was coming up. Let's talk about what he's done here over the last week, though, to let you know why we're talking about him. So over the last 7 days, Nick Senzel's actually been on a tear, man. 8 runs, 2 home runs, 9 RBIs, a steal, and batting .476. Cincinnati's a great, great park to hit in. Lineup is not that great. He's hitting around 7s. He's going to probably drive in some runs. He's got a little bit of speed to him, so he'll chip in some steals if he can stay healthy. And on the year, he's hitting .278. So, there's some upside there for Senzel.
Yeah, Senzel is somebody that, has outfield and third base eligibility with his little hot streak right now, riding the wave. I think he's at least worth it because of the fact that he can fill in on days where there's a lot of off days. So, I mean, hey, he's definitely worth an ad, and let's hopefully it sticks around because he was highly touted. So maybe there's a chance it just took him 3 years to figure it out. We shall see. But, that is what it is. And before we move on and talk about all the other names that we have, one more bat and the rest arms for guys that are looking out to see who they could replace for all these injuries and whatnot. Have you ever tried to buy tickets and see your favorite artist for sports team and wound up being stressed out trying to buy tickets with a whole bunch of hassle? Sorry, Dom, you need to put on the thing for me.
Well, I was getting to it. I was going there.
It's all good. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. That's why you need to check out the Gametime app. Gametime is a fast way and easy way to buy your tickets for all sports, music, comedy, theater near you. With killer deals on last-minute tickets on their best price guaranteed, you can stop stressing over tickets being and being so high and expensive, and start getting hype and get ready to have some fun. Using Gametime app is super rewarding with flash deals, last-minute tickets, easy to find, and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. Images of the seats so you can see where you're exactly sitting. Lowest price guaranteed. Event cancellation protection. I mean, there's no reason that you shouldn't use this app. It's the fastest growing app in the country. Download Gametime app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a $20 off your first purchase. Terms may apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB for a $20 off coupon. Download the Gametime app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right. And here's our second one for the day, guys. Our new sponsor, So Rare, is revolutionary fantasy baseball game and marketplace, transforming fans into owners. With its official licensed digital cards featuring players from across all 30 MLB's teams, unlike other fantasy baseball platforms, So Rare managers truly own their fantasy experience, collecting, buying, selling, and competing with player cards against global opponents to win epic rewards. Win or lose, you still own your cards. There's no cost to play. So Rare recently partnered with the MLB stars Juan Soto and Julio Rodriguez to serve as brand ambassadors. Both are featured in So Rare brand campaigns and will engage with the community throughout the MLB season. Head to sorare.com/lockedon. That's So Rare, SORARE.com to draft your team of free player cards, set your lineup, start competing today, and win epic rewards. Again, that's sorare.com/lockedon. Start playing today. We want to thank our everydayers, new listeners, for making Locked On your first listen each and every day. Be sure to check out our episode tomorrow for the Worryometer Wednesdays, where we break down how players are doing, good or bad, and how worried we are, and whether we're worried about dropping them or are we trading low for them. So be tuned. Make sure to tune in for tomorrow. Dom, I'm tired. Please take this over.
I got you, brother. I'm right here for you. And let's talk about our next guy here. I think I spoke about him when, last week at some point, but you know what? He's still under-owned and he's performing well. That's Jarren Duran. Might as well call him Duran because he is rocking that baseball right now over the past week. Mr. Duran has 4 runs, a home run, 4 RBIs, batting .400, and he's currently only 37% owned on Yahoo. So once again, man, he's out there in a lot of leagues, even those deeper leagues. You got to check your waiver wire. He might be sitting out there. And it's so funny because he actually wasn't doing great in the minors before he got called up. In 11 games in the minors, Duran was batting .195. But he comes up and he says, you know what? I'm getting my opportunity. I'm going to make something of it at 26 years old. He's played 13 games in the big so far this year, 48 at-bats, 8 runs, 9 doubles, a home run, 10 RBIs, 2 steals, batting .396. And here's the thing with Duran. He has a lot of speed in him. He has 46 steal season in the minors, 24 steal season in only 67 games. Just big speed potential here with Duran. He's been batting, it looks like 5th. Which is, they're moving around the lineup, but his last game he hit 5th, which is showing they're willing to move him up if he's performing like he is. So if you need an outfielder that's got some speed, some, potential in batting average, and even runs, looks like he's going to have RBIs too. So he's a potential like low-end 5 category guy. I think Duran's a very, very sneaky ad if he can keep this up, which I think he's got a decent shot to do.
Yeah, I like Duran. He was a nice prospect. Wasn't like one of the names that was like really rattling cages. But when he got called up, I was pretty excited because he did have the steals upside. And honestly, too, I really thought that he may be able to just grow into his man body and see what can happen. So Duran is somebody I'm really interested in. He's one of my favorite little low-key sleeper kind of prospects from the last couple of years. And I think that he may finally figure it out. We shall see. Scoop him up and see what happens, truthfully. Let's move on. Let's start talking about some pitchers here because I think everybody is really in the need for some pitching depth with everybody going down and waiting on a couple names to return. And we're going to start off with a great one here, and that's Mr. Nathan Eovaldi. Mr. Nathan has been great. He is 58% owned, so he's right on that cusp of where we really don't talk about players once they hit 60. So by tomorrow, this may change, but I'm going to talk about him anyway. He's having a really good season. doing what he normally does with a 3.93 ERA. It's right under 4, like always, because last year he had a 3.87. But he likes to do a little K per 9 action with 39 Ks to 36 innings. He has 3 wins and a 1.15 whip on the year. His last 2 weeks has been stellar. He got 2 wins. He's got 20 Ks. He's got a 2.14 ERA and a 0.86 whip. And last week, through 2 starts and 15 innings, he has a win, 15 Ks, and a 1.8 ERA with a 0.67 whip. Now, that is absolutely solid numbers. A guy that you can scoop off the waivers right now. I think that he would be a solid add to anybody that is hurting in pitching. So, just make sure to scoop him up because right now the kid seems to be on fire. And let's ride this wave as long as we can.
Yeah, man, that's a great analogy there. The only thing I'm going to add about Eovaldi is I'm mad that, he had that nice little revenge game against our Yankees, on April 29th, where he went complete game shutout against us, 9 innings, 8 Ks, didn't allow a run, 0.33 whip. That's why Eovaldi's numbers are looking as good as they are. So, you know what? Shout out to the former Yankee Eovaldi in that little revenge game. Let's move on to our next guy, though. And, man, it's like kind of bittersweet to talk about this guy. That's one of my boys, Gavin Stone. I was actually so high on Gavin Stone coming into the year. I had a big, league draft this year with prospects and everything. And he was somebody I was targeting very highly, got sniped on him. But you know what? He's actually underperforming so far this year in the minors. There was one really bad start, but then there was a couple other ones mixed in there. Give Stone a 4.74 ERA in the minors this year, 24 innings, 27 Ks, and a 1.25 whip. And the thing is, he is getting the call to start. When is it, Matt? I think it's against your Phillies, correct?
Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday against the Phillies. And here's the thing, though. It might just be a spot start. Because unless, Dodgers are going 6-man rotation, I don't foresee him sticking around because they just got Gonsolin back. So it's Kershaw, Gonsolin, Urias, Dustin May, and Noah Syndergaard. And, some people, Noah Syndergaard hasn't been great, but I don't think they're paying Noah Syndergaard $13 million this year just to, get a little bullpen work. So we'll see what happens here with Stone. Hey, maybe he comes up and he, goes all out against, the Phillies. But we'll see. I was doing a little research, and, Stone is a righty, and the Phillies have been hitting the righties pretty hard. Harper's going to be back in that lineup, so it's not going to be an easy lineup to navigate. Stone is currently 19% owned on Yahoo, so we'll see where it goes. He's not my favorite ad for this week, but you know what? There's a lot of upside with the young Gavin Stone. He is a very, very good pitcher.
Yeah, he's at least worth the speculative ad. May not be rolling him out, honestly. But I may add him just based off of how he performs against the Phillies. Because it's one of those things where if he does light them up, then, hey, he's probably going to earn himself a rotation spot. Syndergaard isn't getting paid that much to the point where it's going to force them. And then they could move him into middle relief like what the Phillies did with him. And he was more successful as a middle relief than an actual starter. So, you limit Syndergaard's innings and you limit how many pitches he throws and he can actually maintain that velo. So that could be the thought process on how Gavin Stone moves into the actual rotation. So there is a possibility of him having long-term value. And with him being a higher-end prospect in terms of arms, I do like the upside. So at least I'm adding him as a speculative ad. But let's move on here to Mr. Roansy Contreras here. Pittsburgh, they're just pumping him out this year and actually trying to win. This is very surprising. I like to see it because they're not the butt end of my joke anymore. And Ethan can stop yelling at me over at Locked On Pirates. But I mean, he's had a great season. He only had one bad start against Houston with an 18.9 ERA, but everything else has been actually really nice. Against the Dodgers on April 26th, got the win, 5 Ks, no earned runs, and a 0.67 whip. Against Cincinnati, 8 Ks, got the win, a 1.35 ERA, 1.05 whip. Against St. Louis, 6 Ks, a 3 ERA, a 1.5 whip. I mean, and then against Boston, 5 innings, 2 Ks, got the W, 1.59 ERA. I mean, these are great numbers. He's doing almost a K per 9, not giving up too many runs, definitely not killing your ERA. Has really only had 2 bad whip outings and 1 bad ERA outing. Contreras is doing his thing. I think you should totally add him. The only bad part is he's going up against Tampa Bay, which is today when you guys are listening to it for May 2nd, recording on the 1st. So I don't know if you're same day ad, definitely scoop him up. If not, keep an eye out on him, see how he does.
Yeah. Great analogy there. I'm just going to add, Ronsty's 23 years old. He had a lot of, prospect pedigree coming up into, the bigs, and, he kind of underperformed a little bit last year. I think at some point the kid breaks out, and, he's going to be a very, very good player, not only for the Pirates, but for fantasy baseball purposes as well. Real quick though, guys, this episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always growing and changing. Therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way we do until we talk things through. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from where you are to where you want to be. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapist at any time for no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnMLB today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnMLB. Guys, I always say this, if you've heard me talk about BetterHelp before, BetterHelp is actually very, very important because they help you get your mental, state where it needs to be. A lot of times people ignore mental illness and just, mental issues altogether. And it's something that you definitely should not ignore. Give yourself a fighting chance, to be the person that you want to be, the person that you can be. And you know what? I believe in you. If nobody else does, you're hearing it right here. I believe in you. Go get the help you need and use BetterHelp for that. But guys, we have a few more pitchers here, and actually we got a closer up here for you guys. Well, someone that's got half the closer's job, and that's Brusdar Graterol. Man, I've heard about him for a few years now. When he first came up, he had a lot of buzz around him, with that Minnesota team. And he never really got the chance, so they traded him over to the Dodgers. And the Dodgers, he was getting a little bit of action here and there. Last year, Graterol actually had 4 saves. Let me actually, if you're not watching here on YouTube, let me spell his name out for you. It's Brusdar, that's Brusdar, and Graterol is Graterol. And right now, Graterol in the year has been pretty good so far. 2.19 ERA, 13 games, 12 innings, 10 Ks, 0.97 whip, and he's got 2 saves. It looks like him and Evan Phillips are going back and forth here a little bit with the saves. So even if you're getting one half of the Dodgers closing committee, it's I definitely take the chance with it, because I like the upside for either one of them, whoever gets the job. I'm probably leaning a little bit towards Graterol right now because I think he's a little bit better of the pitcher. 27% owned for Graterol on the year. So if you need a nice little closer, go get him. Once again, that's 27% owned for him. He's out there in a lot of leagues.
Yeah, I like Graterol, honestly. I mean, here's the thing: either one of them, whether it's Phillips or Graterol, is one blown save away from pretty much giving the other person the job full time. So Graterol is the person we're leaning towards. I really don't like Phillips all that much now that you see him in the midseason. So I think that Graterol is probably the guy that's really going to take it moving forward. We'll see. All Phillips has to do is shoot himself in the foot, and it's over. So let's see what happens here. But let's talk about one last closer. And from the time I selected this gentleman's name to now, he has gone up 7% and total ownage. And it's Carlos Estevez for you guys on the audio end. I've had his name displayed for a second here. I found him probably about last Thursday, and I was like, wow, this kid's getting the saves for the Angels. I'm like, I hope nobody figures it out. And I was out of ads because, I'm dealing with Jordan Walker issues. And, he made it to me Monday morning. So I'm sure there was a whole bunch of people in my boat. They just added him this morning and just said, boom, here we go. Let's get this kid on my team. So I still think at 62% owned, the 48% that does not have him needs to get him. I'm sure that some of you guys out there have struggled with saves because saves are hard to come by this year. And they were top end price. They had to pay a top end price to get them. So honestly, Estevez is somebody that's going to be around for a bit. I think nobody is really there challenging him. And Angels are doing good this year so far, so there's going to be opportunity. So Carlos Estevez is definitely somebody you want to add this week.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with Mr. Estevez here, but it looks like he pitched in Colorado for a long time. So getting out of Colorado is definitely a help to, anybody. He is 30 years old, career 4.45 ERA. So I'm not like too saying that he's going to be the answer over there. And I forget what the other kid's name is that got hurt. That was him and them Estevez and him are going back and forth. Oh, Cuata. Him and Cuata were going back and forth before he got hurt. But I love Estevez's numbers. The FIP looks great. Once again, FIP is a ERA indicator. It's called fielding independent pitching. He's got a 2.36 FIP, 1.32 ERA. So he looks great. And hey, man, you know what? He might wind up with the job all year. 6 saves already on the season, so he's right up there with the best of them. And 62% owned. He might not really be out there in your leagues, but if he is, and you need a closer, definitely give Mr. Estevez a shot. And guys, you know what? I think that's about it for us today. So please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Check out our website if you already haven't. A lot of great information about us on there, access to all of our episodes, and a lot more. Thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. That goes for our everydayers and our new listeners. We appreciate you all. And if you are a new listener specifically, thank you for giving Locked On Fantasy Baseball a chance. And we hope you could lock in with us for the rest of the year as we provide you guys with, excellent fantasy baseball analysis. Also, if you guys have any questions or anything like that, feel free to hit us up on Twitter, Instagram. That's where we're the most active. And we will get back to you as soon as we can, even on YouTube. If you comment on YouTube as well, we'll try and get to you guys on there. But we really prefer if you guys, check us out on the audio side of things. And, if you, once again, you like what you hear, give us a little review on 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, wherever you may listen. And we will be back with a new episode tomorrow, firing up that old worryometer and talking about some guys that, 5 weeks in, are you starting to get worried about them yet, and what you should do about those players if you are. But guys, until then,
peace.
See you.